Hey, can you go down and read?
All right. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Very happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to the session of Exploring Your Reality series, a series of Dharma talks by Bhante Nyaninda. We're very happy to see everyone here, some familiar faces, familiar names, and also some new, I wouldn't say faces, new names, because we can't really see your face. All right, welcome. This Exploring Your Reality series is held once a month on the first Saturday of the month. We are already into the 14th episode today. The topic is living wisely and happily. So today, Bhante will touch on the topic of Four Noble Truths, how we can resolve to live wisely according to the Four Noble Truths so that we can have inner peace and happiness. So on this New Year's Day, we are very happy to see all of you here taking the opportunity to listen to the Dharma. All right, so we will go to the session proper. We will first request for the 3 refuges and 5 precepts from Bhante, and then we will have a short group sitting guided by Bhante, and then we'll move on with the Dharma talk. So I would like to invite Brother Tsutan to lead us in requesting for the 3 refuges and 5 precepts.
Give a blue to all. Now let us request for 3 refuges and 5 precepts. Aham Bhante Thi Saranena Saha Pancha Silam Kaman Yachami Anugaham Khatva Silam Deta Me Bhante Tudiyampi Aham Bhante Thi Saranena Saha Pancha Silam Kaman Yachami Anugaham Khatva Silam Deta Me Bhante Tudiyampi Aham Bhante Thi Saranena Saha Pancha Silam Dhammam Yacchami Anugaham Khatva Silam Deta Me Bhante.
Yamahang Vadami Tam Vadeta.
Ma Bhante.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Tisaranena Gamanang Paripunang.
Amma Bhante.
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Adina Dana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Adina Dana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Suramaraya Majapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Sura Mera Yam Agyapama Dathana Veramani Sikambada Samadhyami.
Idame silang asawa kaya wahang hotu.
Idam me silam asawa kaya wakahotu.
Idame silang nibbana sa pachayo hotu.
Idam me silam nibbana sa pachayo hotu.
Hisarnena saha pancha silang damang sadukang katwa pamadena sampadeta.
Samabante.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. We'll do a short sitting. As usual, we will do just awareness of whatever that comes through our five senses. What I call hearing is hearing, smelling is just smelling, tasting is just tasting, feeling is just feeling, seeing is just seeing, without adding any concept. Just be with whatever that comes. So first, relax your whole body. Relax all tensions in the body. If you can't relax, you can accept them. That's another way of relaxing. Also relax the mind. Drop whatever memories you have of the past, whatever plans you have for the future. Totally drop everything. Just drop everything. We can always pick up later. Keep the back straight but comfortable, at ease. Totally relax the whole body. You can choose to close your eyes or half close or open the eyes. If you feel sleepy, you can even open your eyes. Shift your attention to the space within your body, aware of any discomfort, tension in the body. Just accept them as they are. Observe with kind curiosity any sensations in the physical body. Explore all physical sensations in the whole body. Look and witness. Feel the body as if you are feeling it for the very first time. Let go of any familiar perceptions, ideas, concepts that you had before. Just aware of whatever sensations without labeling, without judgment, without concept. Just aware. Feel the warmth in the body, the subtle contraction of muscles, the feeling of upper lips resting on the lower lips. Or you can feel the weight of the body, the hardness or softness of the whole body. Aware of each physical sensations like an explorer feeling for the first time, without labeling them, without judging them. It could be just the feeling of being full from eating dinner. Just simply know whatever sensation. Feeling is just feeling without stories. Let the physical sensations fade away. Slowly move to awareness of sound or vibrations. Fully aware of any sound that enter your ear. Just aware without labeling, judging, adding extra story to the sound. Fully be with the awareness of the sound. Hearing is just hearing. Let the sound slowly fade away. Slowly move to your awareness of the smell. Whatever you can smell. The smell might be strong, neutral, or even undetectable. It's okay. Aware of the smell of recently eaten meal, the smell of wind moving in your room, or your own body smell. Just aware of any smell without labeling, preference, judging, adding extra story to the smell. Fully be with the awareness of the smell. Smelling is just smelling. Let the awareness of smell slowly fade away. Move the awareness of taste. Pay attention on the sensation in the mouth. Maybe leftover taste of tea or coffee or any food. Or just the warm, lubricating saliva as you swallow. Just aware of any taste without labeling, preference, judging, adding extra story to the taste. Just observe without comparison, without labeling. Fully be with the awareness of the taste. Tasting is just tasting. Let the perception of taste fade into the background and rest in awareness. Just know, just aware. Now we are ready for the last sense of sight. Before we do that, make the intention that when you open your eyes, try to see everything around you as if you are seeing them for the first time. Release all the familiar perceptions, ideas, concepts that you have about the space around you and its contents and occupants. Release even the image of yourself. Try to see every texture, shadow, everything as though for the very first time. Now slowly open your eyes, fully see what is around you, without labeling, preference, judgment, or extra story. Fully be with the awareness of seeing. Just see whatever that's in front of you without labeling, judging, adding extra story. Gently close your eyes again, rest in awareness for a moment. Explore what helps us to perceive our sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, which is our mind. Turn attention to it. You may notice thoughts arising. Let thoughts pass through your mind like clouds passing through the sky. Notice without judgment, without attachment, without adding extra story. Let each thought arise, fade away, aware of the space of the mind. Aware, but don't grasp into anything, don't grasp into any of the thoughts. Just aware of thoughts arising and passing away. Stay in the mind that knows. Release your attention on the thoughts. Just stay in the awareness. Just aware whatever that happens. Okay, feel your body. If you can feel your body, you can slowly open the eyes. Okay, firstly, Happy New Year, and may you all have all the blessings for the year to come. Also, may you all attain the bliss of Nibbana as soon as possible, Nibbana Paccaya Hotu. Now, regarding the awareness, if you could in daily life, just aware of your senses without judging and labeling, then you will be able to step out from being engrossed in our emotions and thoughts. So try to do that more times a day, frequently. You don't need to spend a lot of time. It doesn't have to be each time long, but preferably many times a day. It could be like even few seconds or minute each time. Okay, that way, at least we will be more aware of our thoughts, feelings, instead of getting lost in the thoughts and feelings. Okay, so it's first thing. Now, today's topic, living wisely and happily, I'm going to try to look at Four Noble Truths in a maybe slightly different perspective, but still Four Noble Truths, to use it as a way to recognize the truth. Okay, but before we go into it, we will show you a video which is more on the theme that I keep talking about, that the correlation between our thoughts and feelings. Okay, we'll watch the video first. Zizhen. No,
Share sound to the
no sound.
Street and you see someone. We're going to start off with an example from an earlier video where we looked at the relationship between our thoughts and our feelings. I'd like you to close your eyes and imagine the following scenario. You're walking down the street and you see someone you know on the other side. You smile and wave at them, but they just keep walking without responding at all. Now, how do you feel? Well, the way you feel in this situation will depend a lot on your thoughts. If you think, what's the matter? Why is he ignoring me? Have I done something to upset him? Then you might start feeling anxious or worried. Or if you think, why didn't he respond? Doesn't he like me? Then you might start feeling sad. And if you think, what's his problem? That's so rude. What's wrong with him? Then you might start feeling angry. Or if you just think, oh, I guess he didn't notice me, then you may not have much of an emotional response at all. The point is, the situation itself doesn't determine how you feel. The way that you feel depends on the thoughts that you have in response to the situation. Now imagine you just had an argument with your partner or a close friend just before this happened. How might your thoughts be different? Or imagine you've just gotten some really good news. Or what if you were on your way to an important meeting and you were running late? In each of these circumstances, you might have very different thoughts in response to the same situation. So for example, in the first case, you're probably more likely to have thoughts like, what a jerk, he can't even say hi. And in the second case, you might think, I'm so happy right now, who cares that he ignored me? Or maybe you'll be disappointed and think, I really wish I could have shared my good news. And in the third case, I'm so glad they didn't stop and talk. I'm already so late. Or if you're feeling anxious about your meeting and the fact that you're running late, you might have an anxious thought. What have I done to upset him? Why isn't he responding to me? The point is, our thoughts don't occur in a vacuum, and they're not simply an objective statement of fact. Our thoughts are influenced by a number of factors: our mood and how we're feeling at the time, and also our past experiences and things that have happened to us, and the views we hold about ourselves and the world and other people. Our minds are constantly creating meaning from our experiences, but these meanings are usually based on just partial information, and the conclusions we draw go well beyond the facts in front of us. And as a result, the meanings we create from our experiences often don't reflect the true picture of what's happening. And so it's important to realize that our thoughts are simply our subjective interpretation of our experiences and things that are happening in our lives. And where we often get ourselves into trouble is when we start treating our thoughts as if they were facts. Because our thoughts have such a powerful effect on our mood, when we treat our thoughts as if they were facts, rather than just as partial information that only tells some of the story, we can end up feeling a certain way based on things that aren't actually true, or at least not 100% true. And this is how we get stuck in vicious cycles, because our current mood is influencing the thoughts that we're having, and then we're treating these thoughts as if they were completely objective facts, rather than at least partially the result of how we were already feeling. And now our thoughts feed back into how we're feeling, making our feelings even stronger, and then generating more thoughts along similar lines, setting off a vicious cycle that pulls us into a downward spiral that can leave us feeling distraught and overwhelmed. And once these cycles get going, they can be extremely difficult to slow down or reverse. And in the next video,
Okay, so basically, the thoughts influence the emotions will influence the thoughts. Okay, we'll go to the slides, sorry. So first thing about living wisely according to the Four Noble Truths is it helps us to lead us towards Nibbana. And most of us will have the question, what is Nibbana? And in Dhammapada verse 204, it has this Nibbanang, the second line, Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang. Nibbana is the greatest bliss. But we have to understand this greatest bliss or happiness is not the worldly happiness. Because if you look at the earlier line, Santuti Paramang Dhanang, contentment is the greatest wealth. We always think wealth as in getting a lot of things. But actually, all of us are already enough. If you understand that we are already happy, we are already enough, that is the greatest wealth. So contentment is the greatest wealth, Nibbana is the greatest bliss. If you can understand this, then the Nibbanic bliss is also this freedom of thinking that we are not enough. It's linked together. So actually you can see, no matter how rich a person, how rich in terms of material wealth is, if they think they still need more, they're not enough, actually they're not really rich in that sense. So contentment to Buddha is the greatest wealth. Okay, next slide. Now, today I'm going to talk about the description aspect of Four Noble Truths. For those who were with me yesterday, I mentioned a lot of the Dharma that I share, it's the description aspect, not the prescription. Okay, what I mean by description is like fire burns is a description. It's a fact. Doesn't matter whether you are an American or Chinese or Indian, fire burns. It's a fact. Don't put your hand into a fire, it's a prescription. Okay, so I'm not asking you what to do or not to do. To do, not to do is a prescription. When you can see a description of how things work, you don't need to know what to do or not to do. If you know fire burns, you automatically not put your hand into the fire. Okay, no need to do anything. I always call it effortless effort. You just have to look and see and understand. Understand as in recognize, then you solve the problem. So today we're going to talk about the description aspect of Four Noble Truths. Next slide. Okay. Now, this I've mentioned before, one way to understand the reality of life is by seeing, by recognizing. So in Sabbasava Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, second sutta, the Sabasava means all the taints, all the defilements. The first way to abandon them is by seeing, by recognizing. And it's mentioned that how to do the recognition is through Four Noble Truths. And also, one thing to point out, which I will mention more, is that in this same sutta, it's also mentioned that the view that no self exists for me is a bondage, is a chain to samsara. So be careful that there is no permanent fixed self, but it's not nothing. If you have this idea of there is nothing, that means there's no me, nothing at all, then that's also not a right view. It will tie you to samsara. There is an fake you, an illusory you, not nothing. Okay, so this you have to get it right. There's no permanent you, but there is no nothing also. Okay, next slide. Now, Four Noble Truths, actually, it's a very powerful tool to solve all problems. Actually, it's a fantastic formula to solve any problems in the world. In order to solve any problems, first you got to know the problem. If you don't think there's a problem, then you won't start solving it or won't start doing anything about it. So there are people in this world who don't think there's a problem in this world. They just follow the flow of life. Everyone just, they look at everyone in the society, get enough food to eat and have a shelter and then grow old and die. They don't see any problem with it. So they won't find a solution. But for a lot of people, actually, you'll be surprised. Most of us have this feeling that something not so right. Okay, that in our life, there is something missing. And most people think that that missing thing can be solved by getting something outside. That's why a lot of people try to get more material wealth, or maybe even try to get more love from outside because they feel that something is missing in their life. They sort of can acknowledge that there's a problem, but they can't identify the problem. Where some spiritual people, they think the problem is that we are enjoying too much. That's also a wrong identification of the problem. I know there's one monk, when people greet him, good morning, he said, what's so good about morning? Samsara, what's so good about samsara? But if you don't have this joy, you can't develop the equanimity of mind, this sama samadhi, the harmonious equilibrium of mind, in order for you to see the reality of life. So joy is required also. So the problem is not that we are too happy or too enjoy. That's not the problem. Okay. The problem actually is we think that there is a permanent fixed self and things are permanent. I'll go more into it. And but there's another thing that there's a misconception I want to stress about just now, is that a lot of Buddhists also think life is suffering. That's a misconception which I mentioned many times. There is pain and suffering in life, but we can choose whether we want to suffer or not. And anyway, there's no suffering because there's no sufferer. There's no I. There's only an illusory I. So when you see that illusory I, then there is no the permanent I undergoing the suffering. So first thing is this problem you have to find. Then the cause, which is the second noble truth, you have to identify the cause. And then you have to recognize what's the solution, then the path, which is Noble Eightfold Path. So problem, cause, solution, method, or path. But another way to look at it, actually, all these four can be in one go. When you see the problem, you see the cause immediately and the solution and the method to solve it, which I have mentioned once before. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the first noble truth. Okay, the noble truth of suffering, the first noble truth, actually Buddha says what is the dukkha. Okay, dukkha normally translates as suffering, but I prefer to translate as unsatisfactoriness. Okay, so Buddha did ask, this is the noble truth of, this is from Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first sermon. the turning of the wheel of Dharma. So I'll go one by one. Birth is suffering, and the reason it's suffering is because we think that there's a permanent person. And every moment, actually, we are being born as a new person in terms of body and mind, but we take it as permanent. We have this misconception, that's why it's suffering. All which is suffering, again, is because we can't accept changes. Okay? It's all because we can't see the reality of life. If you can see that everything keeps changing and you're able to accept and be with it, then you don't have problem with old age and no problem with birth. Illness is suffering because we think it is bad. But as I mentioned yesterday and before, illness actually is a sign that there is something you need to fix in the body. So it's not bad or good. Death is suffering again because we can't see that every death is a new beginning. And in fact, we die at every moment. A new I get born all the time. Being united with that which is not dear is suffering. Separation that from what is dear is suffering. That's also because of our own idea of what is dear, what we love, and what we don't love. And actually it changes. Today we might like someone or something, tomorrow we might not. And this idea is very subjective, but we think it's permanent. That's why we have this suffering. But the important part is the last one. In short, the personalization of the 5 aggregates or the constituent of the process of perception are suffering. Normally, sometimes the normal conservative translation, conventional translation, they translate as the grasping 5 aggregates. But I prefer Bhante Punyaji's translation of personalization of the 5 process of perception, because this body, feeling, mental perception, the mental formation and consciousness is actually 5 processes that's running, but we make it into a person. That's why we have this suffering, because we turn something which is not a solid reality into a reality. Okay, next slide. Okay, again, just now that one, in short, the personalization of the 5 constituents of the process of perception are dukkha, unsatisfactory, and suffering. So this is from the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, setting in the motion of the wheel of Dharma. Okay, next slide. So these 5 aggregates in another sutta called Vina Sutta Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha says that these 5 aggregates can be equated to 5 different things. Okay, and we know, all Buddhists, that we are formed from these 5 aggregates, or what Bhante Punyaji termed as 5 process of perception. So the first one, form, our body, is like foam, which is, it is not tangible. Foam is very illusory. Feeling is like water bubble, also not tangible, not solid. Perception is like a mirage. It's like there, but not really there. Mental formation is like a banana trunk. It's empty inside. And consciousness, our ability to be aware, it's like a magic trick. What we see is not really what is there. It's being brainwashed, programmed by our opinions, by our beliefs, and so on. So actually, we are not a solid, permanent entity. But be careful, we are not nothing. We are like rainbow. It's there, but we are not, but not there at the same time. Okay, next slide. Okay, so another way to look at First Noble Truth is that we ignorantly believe that there is a real self, being born, grow old, and die. But in reality, there's no real self. Doesn't mean no self, there's an illusory self. So no real self being born, grow old, and die. Hence, we have this unsatisfactory feeling, the dukkha. And this is a noble, to me, a noble bug in the dream world. Because there is no real world, no real self, no real world, but as in the world we live in, it's like I say, it's created by our thoughts, so no real as in solid world. It's a dream world, but we think it's real. But the good thing is we can feel unsatisfactoriness. I call it like a computer bug. So we are like in an illusory computer, like the movie Matrix, but somehow there's a bug in this computer program. And that's why this unsatisfactoriness is very noble. Because of the bug, it pushes to try to find the solution. Okay, next. So we never ever experience the world we live in. I mentioned many times on it, we only experience the thinking of the world we live in. But if you really understand this, your life will definitely change, because you won't blame anything on the outside world anymore. But you won't also blame yourself because of your ignorance. You thought you're experiencing the world. So when you understand this, then you will not get trapped in this world created by your own thinking. Okay, next. Second noble truth. Okay, second noble truth. This 10 monks is the noble truth of the arising of suffering, the craving which cause renewed existence. Here, the traditional translation is craving, but Bhante Punjaji translates as emotional reaction, and I prefer that. The emotional reaction that causes renewed existence, associated with delight, lust, enchanting, wherever it appears, that is craving for sensuality, emotional reaction regarding sensuality, emotional reaction regarding existence and non-existence. Okay, another way to look at this second noble truth, the next slide, is when your emotional reaction, which is I will show later in the dependent origination, which is caused by your perception, which is your thoughts, is continuously creating and maintaining the created dream world through its enchanting power. It's like you are in a 6D immersion cinema, so it looks very real. The world created by your thoughts look incredibly real because it is created by 6 of your senses, including your thoughts. What you see is processed by your thoughts, actually, what you hear and so on, you immerse in it. So this is I call it a noble cause of the creation of the dream world. It's noble because it creates a powerful dream world for you to experience. As long as you know it's a dream world, there's no problem with it. You can actually enjoy it. Next. The third noble truth. This 10 monks is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering, the remainderless dispassion from and cessation, giving up, relinquishment, release, disregard of the same craving or emotional reaction. So next slide, please. So another way to look at that noble truth is when you see that the world you live in is a dream created by your thoughts, and you, the dreamer, is also the dream, you automatically will cease holding on to the dream as a reality, and all your emotional reaction ceases. When you see that your anger comes from your creation in your thought, you won't continue with this anger. So this is another way to see the noble cessation, and I call it noble cessation of the dream world. Okay, next slide. The fourth noble truth. This 10 monks is the noble truth of the way of practice that leads to the cessation of the suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. That is harmonious view. Normally, traditionally, we translate as right view, but I prefer the word harmonious as in, it gets you in harmony, be one with the world. Perspective, view or perspective, harmonious thought, speech, action, livelihood, or lifestyle, according to Bhante Punjaji, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. I won't go into one by one today, but this one, I think you are very aware that it divided into 3 parts. The first 2 is Panya. The second, 1, 2, 3 is Sila. And the last 3 is Samadhi. Okay, so Panya, Sila, Samadhi. So remember, it goes from Panya, Sila, and Samadhi. Okay, next slide. So to me, one way to see that is noble truth consists of seeing, recognizing the reality. That's the Panya. You have to recognize that, for example, all your emotions, all your experience come from your thoughts. And then you have to live this reality. As in every aspect of your life, you have to see this reality. Whether it's your relationship with your family members, whether it's relationship in your work or relationship with money, with things, you have to live this reality. And finally, you become this reality, Samadhi. You and the reality become one. And what we always say, the Buddha becomes the Dharma. The Buddha is the Dharma, Dharma is the Buddha. So you have to live the reality until you become the reality itself. So to me, these three parts, Panya Sila Samadhi, is seeing, living, and becoming the reality. Okay, next slide, please. So I will only emphasize one of the Noble Eightfold Path because that's the starting. Okay, Samadhi, translate as sometimes right view, but Pandit Punyaji translates as harmonious perspective, how you see things. When you can have the correct perspective, then you will go to the correct direction. Okay, if you want to go to Singapore and your direction, your perspective is south, then you will reach there. And what is Samadhi? This harmonious perspective. There are four parts. There are few parts. It's right view or harmonious view regarding Four Noble Truths, which I mentioned just now, regarding dependent origination, karma, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, which is dukkha, non-self, and nibbana. But today I will just take dependent origination, which I also have mentioned before, but it is very important because dependent origination is the core teaching. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so Buddha did say in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 28, Mahahati Pado Pama Sutta, the simile of the greater simile of the elephant footprint discourse. So he says, Yo paticca samupadang pasati so dhammam pasati, yo dhammam pasati so paticca samupadang pasatiti. One who see dependent origination, see the Dharma. One who see the Dharma, see dependent origination. So the dependent origination is the core, the most important thing. Next slide, please. So in this dependent origination, one of the factors is ignorance. And I think all of us knows that this quotation, defilement originates from ignorance. Defilement ceases when ignorance ceases. This one is from Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 9, Samadhi Sutta, the right or harmonious perspective or view. When the way you see the world change, the world that you see change. Okay, so it's not actually don't need a lot of effort. When how you see the world is already changed because of your perspective, then your whole life changes, although looks like nothing changed. It's like when you know all your experience, all your feelings, all your emotions come from your thinking, your whole life changed already. And you're not afraid of your emotions also because you know it's created by yourself. You are scaring yourself, you are angering yourself. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the Paticca Samuppada, the 12 links, which a lot of Buddhists are familiar. I will quickly go through them, but a few points I want to stress, which some of us Buddhists are not aware. These 12 links are not one produce another. They are concurrents. They are all together at the same time. Okay, but it's one after another in the sense of numbers. Like 1, 2 is after 1, 3 is after 2. But in terms of space and time, they are not one after another. In terms of time also, 2 is always there. Otherwise you won't have 1. All the other numbers are always there. So it's not as in it happens later. So all are happening together, but in terms of logical sequence is arranged this way. And avijja looks like beginning, but there's no beginning. Okay, in Buddhist, there's no beginning. It's always going round in circle. So quickly, I will go through and stress the few, not the next one first. Zizhen, back to the one. So we start with not knowing anything. When we start, because we don't know any knowledge, when we start constructing the world, mental construction of the world, sankhara, we use through what we perceive. Okay, next slide. Okay, so perception, you see number 3. This is, you can say, our thinking about the world. Okay, how we perceive the world. Later on, you see number 7, it will affect our feeling. So our feelings comes from our perception, building up to that feeling. So from perception, vijnana, you see something, you have nama rupa, as in those who know Malay will be very easy. You see something, a rupa bentuk, a thing, you will give it a name, a nama. So let's say if you see a, you can't see in the screen, maybe a watch, then you see this object, then you will name it watch. Okay, actually, it's just a thing. We give it a concept to it. We see a person, we call it, good person or bad person and so on. And then through our this is where the 6 senses come in, we add in the 6D immersion into this world. And each of these actually is conditioned by our background, our thinking, our belief. Then pasa, we form the word cognition. In the traditional, we translate as contact, but Bante punya this translation as cognition is, to me, is closer, as in you try to form the word. When you form the word, then it has feelings of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling for each thing that you experience in the world. And this experience of the world comes from your perception, and your 6 senses of you created this world. Okay, next. Now, when you have just now pleasant, unpleasant feeling, Vedana, it will go to the next one, Tanha. His translation is emotional reaction. So you have reaction. When it's pleasant, you like, unpleasant, don't like, neutral, you sort of neither like nor dislike. Because of this emotional reaction, then there is a personal feeling, upadana, personalization of this subjective experience. It become I like, I don't like, I neither like nor don't like. So I come up. There's actually no solid I, but now a solid I comes up from there. And number 10, it comes an imaginary self in an imaginary world exists now. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I won't go to the rest of the slide because your imaginary self will become has time and space. Time is like a person. Space as in growing, time as in growing old until you die. Space as in this body person. So that concludes the 12 link. But I want to go into how we form through the eye, nose, tongue, taste, and body feeling to form the world. Okay, when you see something, it goes to the retina, and then we add a lot of information to it from our background, from our opinion, our belief. For example, if you see someone with a sour face, immediately we have this, he don't like me. Maybe, he's just have something against me and so on. But he might be just having stomachache. We don't know. But we add a lot of our own information in it, and then we experience the salt and pepper information word that we add in. Okay, next slide. So everything we hear is an opinion, like in the video, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. As you can see, from both sides, the picture, one can see 3 and 4. So each of us live in the same world, but we see totally different. Okay, I love this picture. I don't know how they draw it until one side is 3 and one side is 4. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this one I also shown you before. Can you see that there is a white triangle in the middle? Okay, everyone will be able to see there's a white triangle in the middle, but there is no white triangle. If you really carefully see, it's because the 3 round black solid thing is missing some parts, and the center black line is missing some parts. So it gives you the idea of a white triangle. The white triangle is our mind projection. So you can see actually we project from what we learned from the past into the world, and then we live it. We don't live in the world out there. I'm not saying there's no world out there. There is a world out there, but what we experience is our projection of our story, and then we live this story. If you get a dog, he definitely won't see a white triangle for a dog. He won't understand why the human can see a white triangle. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this one, again, I've shown you before. Some of you will be able to see an old lady Some will be able to see a young lady. Some will be able to see both. Okay. I give you a few seconds to see. This is a very old picture, okay? Some will be able to see a young lady if you look on the side, the eyelashes and the nose. Old lady is the necklace is actually the mouth, okay? Now, what I want to show is not that if you see one perspective, you see old, you see another perspective, you see young. This is what we call positive thinking and negative thinking. What I want to try to show you is both old lady and young lady, it's again our perception. Actually, it's all lines. It's our mind from based on our past experience, we make up old lady and young lady. Again, if you get a dog to see this, or a tiger, or a cat, they will see lines only, and they won't see old lady or young lady. So again, it's our projection into the world. We don't live in an objective world, we live in a world projected by what our past opinions, thinking, and so on. Okay, next slide, please. So this is, don't get worried about the detail here. I just want to show you, this is in Abhidhamma, the sense door process. When you see, hear, smell, the five, look at the green one, the five sense door adverting consciousness. So when you see something, the first three is in your mind, then it goes into your seeing, hearing, either of the five senses, only one mind moment, and then it goes into the brain, they call it the mind, to process all this. And then it will go through again another mind door process, not another, actually thousands of mind door process. So in a minute, only like 1 of a billion of a, maybe 1 trillion of a second that the processing is in your five senses. The rest is always in your mind, which means that you add a lot of information in your mind. Your contact with the world through your eye, ear, nose is only a blink, a minute moment. Okay, next. Also, this, I can't remember where I get this data, but actually they stated that every moment we see, we come into contact with 400 billion bits of data, but we only process 2,000 bits. That is, we come to contact with 600,000 books, but we only can process a few pages. And definitely from science, we know that we only see a small range of light spectrum compared to some other animals, and we only hear a small range of frequency. The point I want to show you is we only experience a little bit of the world and we think that it's a fact. Like what the video says, it's not a fact. It's just a small information about the world that we live in. The rest of the information is actually from our projection. Okay, next slide, please. So we do not see things as they are, we see things as we are. As our opinion, our belief, including our mood. If our mood is good, sometimes we see everything is very good. If our mood is bad, we see everything is bad. So we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Okay, next slide, please. So we never feel what we experience in life, but we feel what we think we feel in life. So we don't experience money, we experience our thinking about money. And that makes a lot of difference, okay? We don't experience our children, parents, or partners. We experience our thinking about our children, parents, or partners. We don't experience the world, we experience our thinking about the world. What we see is all made up. The world is what we think it is from our thinking. But it doesn't mean there's no world, okay? And it doesn't mean that we are not living, we are living in a world, but that world is an illusory world created by us. Next slide, please. So again, we feel our thoughts, not our circumstances. Next slide. Okay. So this one I feel is important if you can understand this. Your emotions are a reflection of your thoughts. Okay, they are two sides of the same coin. And our thoughts, which change millions of times in a moment. It keeps changing, its impermanence. In fact, it's very fast, our thoughts. So actually, you need effort to maintain angry or sad or scary thoughts in order to continue to be angry, sad, or scared, because your emotion comes from the thought. So in order to continue to be angry, you need to maintain that angry, sad, or scary thoughts. So ask yourself, why would you want to make effort to cause yourself to be angry, sad, or scared? We need effort. We always think that we need effort to stop the anger. No, you need effort to continue to be angry, continue to be sad, continue to be frightened. It's the other way around. So why do we want to make effort to continue to be angry, sad, and scared? And this is an important question we have to ask ourselves. As long as one day you still want to be angry, sad, and scared, you won't be able to get out of it. If you have this intention that I no longer want to be trapped by these emotions, then you will know where to look, and one day you will be able to see this. In fact, you can see this immediately, not one day. Next slide, please. So based on that also, you don't have to be afraid of the experience, but if you're afraid, it's okay. Okay, I mentioned this yesterday also, and I like this saying, because you don't have to be afraid of the experience, because all your experience is coming from you, projection of your thoughts. Just like a dream, your experience is created by your thoughts. So we are not afraid of our dream. We know it's just a creation of a thought. You are fearful because of your fearful thoughts. But if you're afraid, it's okay, because you didn't know your experience is a projection of your thoughts. Just like in a dream, you really think there's really a monster chasing you. So don't blame yourself if you are angry or afraid or sad, because you didn't know that you or your own self is created it. Just like in a dream, you don't blame yourself for creating the dream. It's not your fault, you didn't know. Okay, next slide, please. So the only thing, if the only thing you learn is not to be afraid of your emotions or experience, a lot of us, including myself, we are very afraid of our emotions. We are very afraid of anger, sadness, and so on. If the only thing we learn not to be afraid, because we know it's created by us just like a dream, it will change our entire life. Emotions also is very useful actually. The other point of view, they are a good indicator for your mental state. Negative emotions means you're thinking too much. It's time, like I say, not to continue adding to your thoughts. But you don't have to know what thoughts you are thinking. This is an important point. You don't have to know your content of your thought. If you are angry, just know that you are thinking angry thought, not continue with this thinking. But if you feel difficulty, one way is observe the energy or the feeling or sensation in your body. If you're angry, you'll feel burning sensation. When you keep observing that sensation, again, sensation will change. Anything you look at, you observe, it will change. When it changes, then your anger will also change. So one way is look at the sensation. Another way is when you know that you're in negative emotions, you can try to go for a walk so that you don't continue in your chain of thinking. Okay, next slide, please. So feelings are good indicators of thoughts. It will tell you whether you are in negative or positive thoughts. Okay, and because thoughts are created by us, we can choose which way we want to flow once you know. Okay, next slide, please. Thoughts, the creator. So this is physicist David Bohm says, thoughts create the whole world, and then says, I didn't do it. Okay, so quite often we get angry and we are the one who make ourselves angry, and we say, I didn't do it, it's outside, you know, it's that person or that thing that made me angry or sad. So that's how powerful thoughts are. And thoughts are too fast to catch. So like I say just now, just observe the emotions. Negative emotions indicate negative thoughts. When you observe emotions, it will change automatically. You can't try to catch which thoughts you have. They are much faster than you. They are like magic trick, incredibly fast. Okay, next slide, please. So observe the emotions as a form of energy without judgment. When you observe the energy, you realize that energy constantly changes. When the emotional energy changes, the corresponding thoughts change, and hence changing the emotion again. It's the chain reaction like what's stated in the video just now. This one is when you look at the energy, emotional energy, it will change and then your thoughts will change. So you look at the angry sensation, it will change and then your angry thoughts will change to a new thought. Okay, next slide. So energy flows where your attention flows. What we focus on expands. So if you focus on angry thoughts, then that's where all your angry feeling will come. If you focus on positive thoughts, all your positive feelings will come, okay? But I'm not asking you all, it's not a prescription. I'm not asking you all to try to think positive because that way you will believe that your thinking is important and it's real. I want to show you whether it's positive or negative, it's all created. It's an illusion. That way, it won't affect you whether it's positive or negative. Whether you have positive emotion or negative emotion, you are not affected anymore because you know it's created by you. And you have a choice what to do, okay? If you have this question that, Bhante, does it mean that I am trying to not trying to push away, neglect the world? No, it's like you go to multiplex cinemas. There are many, you can't choose what movie that's playing, but you can choose which cineplex to go into. If you don't want scary movie, you can choose comedy. Okay, although you can't choose what type of comedy is playing or what other movie is playing, but you can choose the type of movie to go in, which cineplex to go in, although the rest are still playing. Okay, next slide, please. So circumstances, people, and things go through our thoughts and then emotions come out, anger, sadness, or happiness, and so on. It's like us wearing different glasses. If you wear blue glasses, we see everything blue. If we wear angry glasses, see everything in anger. If we see red glasses, everything goes straight. So if you bear this in mind, then we know that where our emotions come from, a lot of problems will be solved. Okay, next slide, please. So the problem is not we have thoughts. The problem is we listen to the thought. We believe in them. We give them credit. We think it's real. We agree with them and we make them into things. Thoughts are not things. They are just ideas. They are not solid things. A thought without credence, without you giving it as a fact or reality, is like a balloon without air. No problem at all. Okay, so thought is not a problem until we take it as a fact, until we take it as ultimate truth. Next slide, please. When we are out of thoughts, when you fall out of thoughts, you go from concept to reality. Thoughts are all concept, from form to formless. The world that you see changes because you see everything with a different mind. No longer colored by all your thoughts. So if you stay at the silence before thoughts come, the space where thoughts come out, you can call it the formless before thoughts come, then you will able to have the natural peace and also the natural wisdom. Okay, next slide, please. So thoughts and life experience are like rainbow. It's there, but it's not there. It's both formless and also form. Don't neglect the form part also. There's something that you can see, but you can't hold and grasp at it. We enjoy rainbow, I keep saying, but we never try to take the rainbow and put it at home. So similarly, if you can live your life seeing everything, every experience like rainbow, we can still continue, appreciate it, enjoy it, but we won't hold on to it and want it to be permanent. Okay, next slide, please. So Four Noble Truth is about we are suffering because we don't see everything, including the dreamer is a dream. But dream is not nothing. I keep emphasizing. Dream here is everything, but it's in illusion. It's not solid, permanent reality, nothing that we can grasp. Okay, next slide, please. So Four Noble Truth, another way to summarize is, it's actually one way to look at it is, it's all four in one immediately. Aware of anger, you see the impermanence nature of anger, the source of anger, which is angry thoughts. So aware of anger, that's the First Noble Truth. you will see the impermanence nature of anger, the source of anger, second noble truth, which is the angry thought, and the anger will cease, that's the third noble truth, by itself if you don't sustain it, all in one moment. And this is the complete path, the four noble truth of the fourth noble truth or the four noble truth. And the same go with other emotions, sadness, depression, and so on. So that's why four noble truth is very noble. It's all four in one. Okay, next, one way to see it. Okay, so another thing which I sometimes mention but I didn't stress enough is to have this intention to look at the nature of happiness and peace and calmness inside us that's already there. Because you look at baby, as baby we are born happy, and we don't have depression when we're born as baby. We don't need therapy. We don't need mental depression treatment. So we have this innate in us, the happiness, the joy, the peace in us. All we're going to do is look behind. Even when we are in a very difficult situation, this peace and calmness is always at the backdrop. We just have to pay attention to it. Again, like what I said earlier, wherever you put your energy, attention, that's where your energy flows through. Okay, next slide, please. The feeling. So one way to help us is if you could spend some time to think of the last time you feel the way you wish you could feel all the time. And then you feel that feeling without the story. One way easier is when you close your eyes, then you remember back a feeling, a peaceful feeling or a calm feeling or a subtle, joyful feeling that you wish you could stay in there forever, and drop the story, just stay with that feeling. Then when you open your eyes, continue with that feeling. That's one way, okay? Because in order for us to continue to see the truth, we need certain amount of joy in us. This is important. Once you really see how reality works, then you don't need, because it's already, the joy comes automatically already. Next slide, please. So look within, like what I said just now, look at the formless that is before form, the silence before thought. If you can stay at this formless before form, silence before thought, then we won't get affected by our thoughts, by our circumstances that much. Next slide, please. So this one I mentioned before, and I like this. So silent mind is not a mind without noise. Silent mind is not a mind without thoughts. Silent mind is the space within which experiences or thoughts come and go. It's the space where thoughts come out. Silent mind is the space where sound comes and goes. Silent mind is the space between letters that allow us to read the words. Silent mind is that which is always present underneath our thinking. It is the backdrop or the background where thoughts come out. So it cannot disappear, it's always there. Next slide, please. Okay, our performance, how we do things in life, we always think that it's our potential plus we get more information. Actually, it's our potential minus any interference. It's our thinking that interferes us. If you don't get lost in your thinking, we actually perform really well in this world. Okay, next slide, please. This is the last slide. Two important things. All our emotions are reflections of our thoughts. All of us have natural mental health and innate flow of wisdom. So if you can remember these 2 points and dwell on this, it will help us a lot in our day-to-day, everyday life. Okay, I want to share 2 stories before I conclude. And this is the end of the slides. I think no more slides already. We will, okay, 2 short stories. Just want to let you know, maybe have shared the stories before, but just want to let you know how our thoughts shape our mind, okay? One story is about Dr. David Hamilton. He did an experiment of playing piano in the mind. So he has 3 groups of people. One group do nothing, control group. One group play piano with the fingers. Another group play piano with the mind only. They don't move their fingers, okay? They do that an hour a day for a week. And after that, 1 week, they check those people who play piano with their mind, the nerve cells, because of the nerve cells that coordinate the finger movement, they check it also grow. And their fingers, there's changes in their fingers cells also. So just by mentally doing the playing of piano, it affects the fingers. It's almost similar to people who play the piano. So that's how powerful the mind is. And another one, which I think I have shared before, is about a group of people. This is from the book Mind Over Medicine by Lisa Rankin, about experiment done in 1980 by psychologist Professor Alan Langer, where they get 8 men in 70s to walk. This is done in 1980. They get 8 men in their 70s, age 70s, to walk into a 1959 environment that's like 21 years back. So in this environment, they have only black and white TV, singers of the 1950s, clothing, magazine, books of 1950s. Basically, bring them back 20 years. Before they do that, they measure all their dexterity, their strength, basically their health, their flexibility, their hearing, vision, and so on, memory. After that experiment, again, they measure all this. But remember, in that experiment, there's no mirrors, no modern day clothing, no photos, except photos of these people when they are younger days. Okay, they only stayed there 5 days. After that, they were tested again and found that all of them has better dexterity, they sit taller, and all of them, their health improved. Like they go back 20 years, basically. Okay, and they do the experiment another time in 2010 under sponsorship of BBC. Again, they bring people back from 2010 to 1975, like 35 years back. Same type of experiment. And in fact, the one person who actually go into the experiment on a wheelchair, at the end of the experiment, just 1 week, he walked out with a cane. It's like he go back 20 years. And there was one person who has difficulty wearing socks. After that, he was actually dancing away at the end of this experiment. So that's how powerful our mental perception is, because we live in a world created by our mental perception. But I'm not giving you a prescription to think positive or think negative. I'm just telling you that we live in a world created by our thoughts, and then it's up to you what you do with it. Okay, we have questions or sharing or
battery 90%.
Good evening, Bante.
yeah.
I have one question to ask. Just now you mentioned the 5 aggregates, right?
Yeah.
5 aggregates said that the form is like the form, it's not tangible, it's keep changing. Is there any way that can be observed or feeling that the so-called non-tangible the form? Is there any way?
Yesterday you and today you not the same.
Okay.
Easier to see is look at your photo when you are even 5 years, 10 years back. Look at your photo when you are a baby. You keep changing. Not tangible, it's not fixed, not permanent.
Okay, because I read one article say that because we consist of the smallest particles called rubakana, right? So this rubakana, do we have any way to observe or feeling these particles? Maybe meditation to the higher level, then we can go into the different state, then can observe the rubakana. Is that?
Yes, you can. In the monastery set up by Paul Sayadaw, actually the practitioners have to develop their mind concentration to be sharp enough to break the body down to the smallest particle, they call it kalapa, and then see the contents of the kalapa that it keep changing. Like new one come out and then die. New one, the old one die, new one come out, and it keep changing. But I feel that you don't have to wait until you go into that deep level, because we can see that our body keep changing. Yesterday we might be sick, today we are healthy, or today we are sick, tomorrow we are healthy. It keeps changing. There's no permanent non-changing body there. And our mind easier. We might want to eat something and then suddenly we go to restaurants, we don't want that, what we want earlier.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Then I just want to verify one, because I read one article saying that once we have observed and feeling the kalapa, that means we are entering the sotapanna stage. Is it true?
No.
No.
That one is only the beginning of the practice.
Beginning of
Because
the
you
stage.
have to see that the body is made up of smallest particle called kalapa. But be careful, actually, people got it wrong. You have to see that there is things inside the kalapa. It's the smallest, but not really the smallest, because there are earth, water, fire, wind inside it. So it's a contradictory in that sense. Buddhism has a sort of contradiction. Kalapa is the smallest, but there's something smaller inside. But the something smaller cannot exist independently. Yeah. So Buddhism has a lot of this, like there's no self, but you can't say totally nothing. It's there, but it's not there. Buddhism always have this, which is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. So anyway, back to just now your question, you have to see the body until the smallest kalapa and the contents of the kalapa. Then you got to do anicca, dukkha, anatta on the content of kalapa, and you got to do the same for the mental process. Then you got to see cause and effect. So there's a lot more to see. And then after you see all that, as in you gain insight into all this, you have to keep doing it again and again until one day you experience nibbana. So it's actually a long process.
Okay, so it's not necessarily have to see the kalapa before entering the sotapanna stage, right?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Because I feel that different masters attain, this is my opinion, okay? I feel that different masters realize the truth from different paths. There are many ways to climb the mountain. So if this master reached the mountain peak through this way, he will keep saying this is the only way, which is true, because this is the way that he tracked. Another master will say this is the only way. So depends on who you ask. That's why I say the question. But that is not a wrong way, the only thing I can say. But I would nowadays prefer to encourage lay people, because you don't have that much time, to try to see the reality in your daily life. Because that way you can practice and live your daily life at the same time. That's why I encourage you all to see things like your emotion is created by your thoughts. When you can see that, actually you can see an illusion, then you actually are getting close to non-self, because there's no solid world out there. It's a creation by thoughts, which is not a thing. Including your self-identity is created by your thoughts. Who Samson is all your thoughts. I am this, I am this. It's because from your thinking, maybe I'm an engineer, I'm a whatever, I'm someone's son and so on. It's from your thoughts. So from this, you can see there's no real substantial self. So you can see in your everyday life. To me, that is more practical for layperson, unless you have plenty of time to go to a monastery and spend years meditating and practicing. And not necessarily everyone who spend years be able to make a breakthrough. But I feel what I share, if you look, everyone will be able to see. a kid will be able to see that, you know, if they look, they will be able to see that their anger comes from angry thoughts. Their sadness comes from sad thoughts. If you can see that, then immediately you can see that you are creating your world, and same, then you are creating yourself.
That means that by using your way, then we can keep awareing our thoughts in the daily drama. Then how we can know that we are entering Sotapanna stage from your method?
Don't worry, keep practicing, because Sotapanna is just a label. Okay, one day when you are not affected by anymore by the I, because Sotapanna means they don't have this I identity, the self identity. One day when you're not affected by your I, you're not limited by your I anymore, you should be getting close. But be careful, because the minute you think you have attained, you will stop practicing, you might get stuck. As long as you don't stop practicing, you keep going, that's okay.
Because one convincing reason we had to enter in Sotapanna, because we don't want to keep on entering the cycling, how to say, the cycle rider. So that entering Sotapanna will just continue live for the 7 lives, then will be achieving a higher step, right? So how we can confirm that we are ready, not ready going out for the 7 cycles?
Just keep doing.
Just keep doing, right?
Yeah. Keep doing, but I'm not saying that don't go and retreat and meditate. If you have time, you can spend more time, because it's always good for retreat to calm the mind down. I'm just sharing with you a way that you can continue to practice in your daily life. Okay. How, if you are very interested in Sotapanna, is keep seeing whether your self, your idea of a self diminish or not. That's an indicator. Okay, whether you are heading the most important thing to me and you, I guess, is whether you're heading the correct direction or not.
Yes.
Whether you reach the destination or not, it's not so important, because you have to keep moving. If you are not moving, reaching the destination, you only have 2 answers, yes or no. Okay, I give you a criteria, like say, if you see A, you reach a destination. If you don't see A, you don't reach a destination. It doesn't help you. Why it doesn't help you is because if your answer is no, then you might feel very disappointed. If your answer is yes, then you are too complacent. You might not really reach, and then you stop working. So the destination to me is not so important. The important is, are you in the right direction? Okay. As far as I can see, for me, it's what I share with you will head towards the right direction, because I'm keep sharing with you that there's nothing solid, nothing permanent out there. Everything it's illusion, as in. And when you keep seeing this, then you won't have this idea of a permanent self, which is the idea of the Sotapanna will know that there's no permanent self.
Okay.
They will have this idea. One thing to contemplate on is, there is this saying that Sotapanna don't need effort to keep the 5 precepts. They don't need effort to not kill, not steal, and so on. And the reason, after I contemplate, is because they don't have a separation between you and me. There's no difference between Nyaninda and Samson. So why would I want to steal someone's thing when it is no difference whether it belongs to him or belongs to me? Why would I want to kill someone else when it's no difference between that person and me?
On this, may you share on how to describe that no difference between Monday and me? Like, because really cannot, how to say, just a concept. We can imagine only, but cannot really see that. What is that no difference between you and me?
This one you have to experience. Okay. It's not something that you can experience with words. It's when you are not lost in your thinking. someday you will experience, maybe the closest is sometimes when you walk on the forest or on the beach, when you are really totally relaxed, you might feel that you are one with the forest. Do you have this feeling? There's no difference between you and the forest. You have sort of become you and the forest. You are the forest, forest are you. Or sometimes when you look at the wave in the sea, you have this feeling when you're very quiet, you have this feeling that you are the wave is you.
I will only have this feeling when in meditation, if I just walking and with my eyes opening, I cannot feel.
Okay, in your meditation, that's good enough.
Yeah.
That's the feeling of being one with what's outside.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, but because we have this concept of a self, it cuts us off limits. So Sotapan break this.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Then another sharing from me is that because since I already practicing meditation since last month, I have been meditate after wake up, but before my breakfast and working hour, because I don't like to bring my how to say, because when I wake up, I probably have been thinking what happened yesterday, what will be happening in today, and what is my dream. A lot of the thoughts inside when I wake up. So I would like to do the meditation after like showering and cleaning out that, and
No
sit
problem.
down and clearing mind, then have the peace come state of mind, peace comes state of mind, then I can focus on my working with the peace mind, because the innate flow of wisdom will help me to choose what is the best decision for my workings, and what is my planning. Also not to get lost in my daily life. It's just that it's a process for me to go on practice and on the Dharma.
Okay.
That's my sharing.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Bante.
Okay. Any other? I think there are some questions in the chat. Bihui, maybe can you help?
Yes, Bante. Two questions. The first one
okay.
is, even though all Buddhists are taught that we are not self, subconsciously still feeling there is one me out there, how to really accept the fact?
Okay, again, I want to stress that when we say no self, it doesn't mean nothing. There is a me out there, but this me is ever-changing me. So I call it fake me, as in yesterday me and today me is not 100% the same. And you can, how to accept, you don't have to accept, you have to experience it, you have to test it out, you have to explore. You have to see that you only have two parts, body and mind. What you want, what you like today, tomorrow, you might totally don't like already, you might totally dislike it. Your mind changes. So yesterday you and today you, the mind is not the same. The body keeps changing. You can look at your photos of your past, it's not the same body anymore. And in science, your cells, billions of cells die every second and keep changing. So it's very easy to see that there's no permanent non-changing self. This is what we call non-self. Okay, next.
Yep. Next is Bante. There are the five aggregates always move in the same order as form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness?
There's no it's order, as in it's not one after another in terms of time or space. They all arises together at the same time and in the same space. So it's not like maybe one after another in terms of logic, but in terms of space and time, there are always five processed together to give an illusion of one permanent entity. Okay,
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Any questions or sharing? Jim Loy, you have a question?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for all your lectures, your sharings and teachings. I think I benefited a lot. Just one question. Bante just now emphasized on everything is situations in mind. So it's the samsaric world, the heaven realm, the human realm, the ghost realm, and also nirvana, sotapanna. It's all just projections of mind. If that is the case, then what makes us different against a lay person and Buddha, and what's the difference between, if everything is just projection of mind, so what makes the difference between awakened and not awakened and lost?
Awakened person knows that everything is a projection of mind. We don't, we think it's real. Awakened person knows that we live in a projection of mind, but we people are not awakened like you and me. We think it's real. We think we really experience. It's like when someone says something, we think that that person is the one that makes us angry. But an awakened one, a Buddha, will know that it's not. It's the thought. So that's the difference.
That simple. Is it?
Sorry?
Is it really that simple between awakened? Just
that's a big thing. If you know everything is created by your thoughts, it's a huge thing. Your whole life change. Basically, I'm not talking about just outside, inside also is created by a thought. Like Jim Loy, who is a head of the BMSM in Sabah, it's all this identity is created by your thoughts. It's not a thing, it's all concept. When you see outside and inside, both are created by thoughts, then you will see that it's all a illusion. I could be very careful with illusion. It's like, it's not solid entity. Once you realize that, your whole life changed. That's why you become awakened. It's like you wake up from a dream. Now we are in a dream.
So Buddha and us, there's not really, in terms of physicality, and there's no much difference in just between our understandings of the reality. Is that what you mean, Bhante?
You can say that. When your understanding of reality is changed, actually everything changed. Because imagine, okay, in a dream, I'll give you an example. If in a dream, you know it's a dream and you didn't wake up, normally you wake up, you can do everything in a dream. You can fly, you can do whatever. Because it's a dream. But now we think it's real, our daily life. Our daily life is the same. But of course, Buddha won't show off by doing miracle power, flying and all that. But if he needs to, he can, because it's a dream. So it's a big difference. Of course, there are other differences. You're right in terms of Buddha, because Buddha is a specific case. Because for Buddha, not only he saw everything is a dream, because he has been in the dream, cultivating, understanding the dream for many lives, different from normal Arahat, I'm talking about Buddha. So he can know how to maneuver in this dream world. He knows all the lubang in the whole dream world. So he knows how to guide Jim Loy when Jim Loy is the type of people like Jim Loy who was stuck in certain part of samsara. He knows how to guide. The part of people like Samson Chua who stuck in another type of samsara, he knows how to guide because he spent many lives studying every single part of the dream world. But a normal Arahant don't. They just, if you see everything is dream, you can get awakened. But it's not so easy to see everything is a dream. For me, many things I still think is real. I logically, I know logically, but I still get angry sometimes. Of course, I don't stay in the anger because I know I created it. But to be able to immediately, instantly see everything is dream, that's a big difference. But Buddha is more different because his aim not only to see everything is a illusion, a dream, but also to master the illusion so that he can basically guide anyone in the illusion world. And that's tough. Because to be able to master the illusion and not get caught in the illusion, that is incredible. Because you try to master the illusion, you will get caught because you think it's real. That's why this is my understanding, many people who try to walk the path to become Buddha, before they reach there, quite often they become Mara first. Because Mara is one who knows how to control the world, but he's got too trapped in there. So he just keep controlling the world instead of understanding the world to wake up. Because he able to fly in the dream, then why want to wake up from the dream? So it's very tough job to be able to understand fully, master the dream and not get caught inside the dream. Because when you want to master it, you will take it seriously. When you take it seriously, you take it real. So you get stuck. So that's the big difference between Buddha and normal Arahat. But normal Arahat is like what you say, not much different as in they see it's a dream compared we don't see. And that's very big to me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pante. Thank you for boiling down to the extent that it sounds so easy, but yet so difficult to do at the same time. So
yeah.
Basically, you're saying not as long we are would you agree that as long we are not caught in the dream, so it's considered a good success already for lay people?
Yeah, you got to keep trying not to get caught in the dream. But once in a while you get caught, don't beat yourself up, because I keep emphasizing that once in a while we still pay money to watch a movie and cry and get scared by ghost movie. It's okay, because we have a human side. We are not saying yet, but as long as you keep looking, one day, definitely you'll be able to see it all aspects.
Yeah, thank you, Pante. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Or any question from inside? No. Okay. Any other questions or sharings or anything you have? If not, maybe we'll end here. Any last questions? No. Again, Happy New Year to you all. And please make the aspirations for, especially Samson Chua, if you are really interested to realize Nibbana, you have to make the aspiration. And in the Tibetan tradition, it's 90% aspiration, 10% the practice. So because when you have the aspiration, your mind is directed towards it. So you would be able to move to the correct direction. Don't worry about the whether we reach the goal. Important is you keep going the goal, and also have to be very careful that because it's an illusion, when we take things too real, as in, is it the goal or not? Then you make it real again. So it's a bit tricky. That's why it's difficult. It's because you have to put in effort, but if you seriously put in effort, you are making it real because it's an illusion. So it's tough in that sense. Okay, so it's there, but it's not there. So you have to put in effort, but not take it too real at the same time. A bit tricky in that sense. But anyway, good luck. So all the blessings to everyone. May you all attain Nibbana as soon as possible. Nibbana Pachaya Hotu. Okay, we will share merits. Share merits with all the devas, all the Dharma protectors, guidance deities. Share merits with all sentient beings, especially departed family member, relative, friends. Make aspiration always with the wise, avoid the foolish, until we reach the realization of Nibbana. Again, at the end, share merits with each and every single being, reaching all beings at equal share of merits. Etawata cha'amehi sampadang punya sampadang sabe deva numodantu sabba sampati sitya. Etawata cha'amehi sampadang punya sampadang sabe buta numodantu sabba sampati sitya. Etawata cha'amehi sampadang punya sampadang sabe sata numodantu sabba sampati sitya. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imina punya kame na mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu yawa nibbana patiya. Idame punyang asawa kaya wahang hotu. Idame punyang nibbana sa pacayo hotu. Mama punya bagang sabba satanang pajema. Te sabe me samam punya bagang labantu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So have fun exploring the Dharma in your daily life. Enjoy yourself. Good night.
Sadhu. Thank you, Bante, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Hope that we will continue to explore our reality and hope that we will walk the path in the right direction. Yeah. So before we end for tonight, just some short announcements. For those who are not aware, we have sessions every Friday, awareness of Dharma and daily drama. So do join us every Friday, 8 p.m. And on the coming Wednesday, on the 5th of January, that we have a Dharma sharing by Brother Tan Siang Chai on the topic of change your mind, change your life. That is happening at 8:15 p.m. So you can join us via Zoom or via BMSM Facebook Live. Also would like to share with you, we have a New Year message from Bante Mahinda, the General Advisor of BMSM. You can read the full message in our BMSM Facebook page or in our Telegram group. Today is the New Year's Day, but Chinese New Year is coming up very soon, just a couple of weeks left. So if you would like to make some offerings of lights, we will be doing this in the new center in Putrajaya. So if you're interested, you can go to this online link and make some offerings, or you can WhatsApp to this number. So thank you very much. We hope to see you again next month, right? So thank you everyone and have a good night.
Thank you. Sadhu, 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 everyone.
Night.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.